Unsigned Pop Punk presents Where Did All My Friends Go? A podcast about life in the music industry. I'm Bear from Of Brighter Skies.
And I'm Pat from Cities Never Sleep.
And we have an amazing, amazing episode with you. God damn it. For you. We have an amazing episode for you with Pat. We had our dear friend Austin Durry come in, and he's the vocalist for an amazing, amazing band called Coyote Kid.
Oh yeah, so good. We had some good chats. I'm a little disappointed about some cryptozoology stuff, but we kind of go over that. And you'll find out.
If you think you know what cryptozoology is, you're smart. If you think you might have an idea, you don't. I didn't.
You should. I thought it was pretty common knowledge, to be quite honest.
But tell you what, we'll save that for this segment. That said, this podcast is really, really incredible, and we want to make sure that you guys go support Coyote Kid on all of their social media, and also make sure that you guys are going to support Unsigned Pop Punk. Look, guys, we do this full time, and we are so excited to announce that. There's not much to it, man. Like, we just we're out here to support you, and in return, we ask that you guys go follow us on our social media. Yeah. Pat is pretty much the brains behind this whole thing. So make sure that he feels loved and welcomed, because I love him.
Hey, this is for everybody. It's about everybody. We're a community, baby.
Yeah, man. And with that, let's get into the episode.
Cool. Well,
I
welcome
felt like I was
to
early, but
it's okay. Welcome to the podcast. We got a really awesome guest with us today. Is Austin Durry from Coyote Kid.
Hello.
Guys, if you haven't listened to Coyote Kid, do it after the podcast. Or now. I don't even care. Just shut off
Quit
the podcast.
right
just
now.
quit it. Cut it right now.
No.
Cut it and go.
I'm pretty sure I
your
say that
homework
like
first.
every time too. Like it's pretty damn close every time I start this podcast. I just tell people to stop listening to the podcast and go listen to the band of the person we're interviewing. It's usually that's that simple.
Just shut
That's
this crap down.
Wouldn't it be funny if I could go into the analytics of it and just be like, see where people stop listening? It's like, and right there. That's where it was.
He told me.
I did it. Like I'd be impressed. I'd be like, they did it. Good job.
Yeah.
What
well,
power
then,
you have as a host.
yeah, and if
Right?
you have that kind of power, then you need to save it till later.
That's true. I should just cut it and edit it, and I'll put it at the very end of the podcast.
There you go.
Oh my god.
So cool.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate doing this over Zoom because it's just delay.
So for our listeners that are not aware, Austin, you guys used to be called Mara and the Mainsail.
Correct.
Tell us the story of how you evolved into Coyote Kid. Like, what is the history here?
Yeah, so we started Mara in the Mainsail when me and Wilder, the other Austin, we started the band when we were 17. Mm-hmm. Called it Mara in the Mainsail because we liked the sound of it, and we had that name for a long time. We were pretty dedicated to just keeping doing that. But we wanted to change our name a couple years into it, just for kind of ease of people remembering it, and Mara in the Mainsail is such a it's nice once you know it, but trying to tell it to someone is really difficult. We always had this instance of we'd be at a show and there's loud music and it'd be like, "What's the name of your band again?" And we're trying to yell in someone's ear, "Man." It's
How do you spell it? Oh boy.
Well, and not only that, I remember playing with you guys at the What's Up Lounge in Mankato,
yeah, wow,
2000 something, and I remember half the band always used to think it was Mariah in the Mainsail.
Yep. At one point, we had a member named Mariah.
Yep.
And that made it even harder.
Is it her band?
Right. Yeah. Or either that, or they'd go up to the female vocalist and say, "Are you Mara?" And it's like, well, no, but so anyway,
right.
All those things combined and kind of being hard to make, hard to market all these things. We asked our record label at the time if we could change our name, and they said no. And we put out a record that we wanted to be the first of our new name, but then whatever, that was our record, Bone Crown. And then we ended up parting ways with our record label and able to make our own decisions, and we decided to go for it and rip off that Band-Aid. We were kind of like, if we're in it for the long haul, and we don't want to keep building on this, loose foundation of poorly marketable, words. So, and so then with the next album, like one of the characters in the album was named Coyote Kid, and we just decided to go with that. So here we are.
Well, it's a dope ass band name.
Yeah,
well, thanks.
It's so catchy and easy to remember, and it's a great name.
we had many meetings about finding a new name to not make any of the mistakes we made before.
Well, picking out a band name is always like a really difficult thing, though.
Totally.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's
yep.
You got to get everybody to agree on something, which is hard enough in its own right. Just getting people to figure out where they're going to eat.
Yep.
But yeah, that's always such a hard part.
Yeah, I remember I'm a really visual person. I do all of our graphic design and stuff. And I remember my biggest selling point for Coyote Kid was that if it's all caps, the C and the D on the end make this nice shape. And I loved that. And so I was trying to explain to my bandmates who are somewhat less visual, and I was like, no, see, it's symmetrical, with these two ends. And
see my brain.
But, I get that. Well, you had recently just you just mentioned that you guys were on a record label, and now I know that was in the past and you parted ways. But walk us through what that was like, because let's be honest, most people's dream, whether they realize what goes into it or what doesn't go into it with a record label, most people's dream is to be on a record label, right? That seems like the big goal to achieve. So in some way, shape, or form, you guys were actually able to achieve that goal. And so just walk us through that process of what it was like to get that offer. And then, even if it was shitty, because let's be honest, it doesn't look like, from the look on your face, it doesn't look like it went over too well. But that said, that's the reality of the music industry. Is labels aren't this glorified thing, and we talked about this with our last episode with Izzy. Labels aren't this big glorious end all be all. It's a loan. It's a bank. They're out there to make money off of your market. So walk us through that process of Mara and the Mainsail getting signed to a record label.
Yeah, so we had already had two record label offers that we turned down before this one, and those were from record labels that we knew kind of had a reputation of signing bands to see if they blow up and then kind of just putting them on the shelf, and bands getting just shut down because of that and stuff like that. So those were record labels that we weren't interested in. Those were ones that worked more like a bank or whatever. And then with our first record label, I won't say the name of it, but
you absolutely can if you want to. You don't have to.
I don't know. I guess it's not around
I don't know
anymore.
if you have that whole NDA.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyway, old record label. We recently signed with Third String. This is not Third String that we're talking about. Different record label. But I actually was at the the post office with a bunch of we're shipping out a bunch of vinyl records for our Kickstarters for our first album, and this dude next to me was shipping out vinyl too, and he was the owner of a record label, and we met at the post office.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I gave him my card, he gave me his card, whatever. And yeah, at the beginning, they did a lot of really good things for us. They got us on the road a lot. We were able to tour a bunch. They got us to South by Southwest twice, which was really awesome.
That's huge.
Yeah, but along the way, right off the bat, when we first even talked about signing with them or whatever, two different people warned us that the dude was sketchy and had a history of being weird. And then we kind of said, it'll be fine, and kept going.
Right, that won't be us. There's no way. We won't let it happen.
Yeah, But anyway, long story short, we were with them for couple years. We recorded an album with them. And yeah, there was just a bunch of really sketchy stuff, a bunch of questionable financial things that we lost a lot of money on. And then we also just found out that they were like basically lying to venues as we were touring. And so every place we would go we would like leave and they'd be like, well, we were promised you'd bring 400 people. And we're like, we've never been here before. This is a tiny town. And,
What?
And it was like, oh, well, we didn't tell you that. So that kind of stuff that then we just kind of, it was just like the record label had kind of garnered a bad reputation with that and all that jazz. So yeah, then we, had the talks and decided to cut that cord, and that was about the time we had wanted to change our name anyway and all that kind of stuff. So all that kind of happened around in the same year. But yeah, and then and then our last single before this one, we tried like a one-off deal with a record label. They were really great to work with, but we decided to have it be one song with them, and yeah, they were much more professional about things. But yeah, and then this last single we put out was back on fully independent, and we'll probably stay that way. I think we've had our fill with record labels for a while.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
And that's something that a lot of people, like I think I stated before, like a lot of people don't actually understand what being on a record label actually entails, and the difference between being successful independently and being successful on a label. You know, we had mentioned this in our last episode about like as soon as you get a contract in front of you, the real work starts, no matter what contract it is. So it's like just because you get signed to your favorite record label doesn't mean they're going to pump a bunch of money into promotion. It means you're going to have to fork up some cash and like hustle, like even harder, like because there are some amazing stories out there. I think I could be wrong about this, but I think Shinedown is like on Atlantic Records. I think that's what they're on, and they've been on Atlantic Records for a long time for two reasons. One, they've created a symbiotic relationship where this is just an example, but Shinedown releases a bunch of music for all of their fans. And it in turn basically kicks in the label, and then they promote, and that in turn brings more to Shinedown, and that kicks back over to the label, and it creates this like symbiotic relationship. But when one of those pieces doesn't work, neither will. You know what I mean? Like focus. If you guys are out there like thinking about that your end goal is record label. Think about what you're doing right now to promote yourself, to self-promote, and to get yourself out there. Yeah. Did you want to have anything else to say on that before we go to our next questions?
Yeah, I feel like record labels, like at the end of the day, no one's giving anyone anything for free, and so record labels, if they sign you, it's because they think that they can extract value from you. Yeah. And if you can also extract value from them, it can work. But that's not a bad thing, right? Like seeing somebody and going, "Hey, what you have has value in my eyes, like that kind of perceived value isn't a bad thing. It's just a thing. It's just how you go about doing it. But remembering that if somebody sees value in your work, it still means you hold all the cards. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, and keep it true to you. I think that's what we said that again in the last podcast. But like, keep true to you. I can't stress it enough. Yeah, and like I think that the other thing to always keep in mind is that like independent artists, when you keep all the money, it's like it's easier to be financially viable on your own, but there's a higher. It's harder to get bigger. So it's like there's it's easier to just like survive on your own, and it's harder to like blow up and get big. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas, but it's also hard to survive when the label's taking a bunch of your money. And so that's kind of the trade-off of that. But
catch 22 right there.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And for us specifically, it's like our fan base, like our whole model is not really about blowing up. Like it's not. Our model is about like one fan at a time. We always say like our fans are like, it's like it's like a deep fan base where like we only have 100 people show up to a show, but they'll all go nuts and buy a hoodie and whatever. Like, so it's like it's like we're kind of committed to that style that of like we're gonna be a couple people's favorite band of all time. We don't need to be the biggest thing.
It's so like on that topic then. So you've really amassed quite the cult following of your fans, having people dress up as your characters at concerts. When you started this project, did you ever imagine you would get to that point?
So before I started this project, I was big on like drawing and stuff. And like as a kid, I was like, I'm going to be a comic book artist. I'm going to write and make comic books.
And that's amazing.
And I was like,
so cool.
That's like, and I wanted to like make these crazy fantasy stories and stuff. And our first EP was based on like a comic book story that I was working on. So I think that kind of integrating the music culture with like nerd culture and like that deep fan base and lore and all that kind of stuff has like, it's always just kind of been like a part of the music DNA and everything. I don't know if that was always like the intent or whatever, but I was just like, those were the stories that was in my head. So that's what came out.
Right. And, for sure. Yeah. And so I guess that goes right into our the next question I had as well. And like, cause all of your songs are so like the scope of them are so large. Yeah, great. Very
so good.
Like very, very cinematic. So when you're like so obviously, as you said, like your first album, it was a story about like your comic book. So are all of your like songs like kind of written with some sort of vision inside your head of like a story?
Yeah, so usually I'll approach an album. We make like every album has a structured story to it. It's usually like a three-part story or a 5-part structure, and I always come into it with like mostly visuals. I'm starting with of scenes I want to portray or whatever, and then that'll kind of lead to characters. Then we flesh them out into characters, and then that all kind of trickles down, and then the actual making of the songs as a whole, like that's usually like one of the last steps of all of it, and then I'll kind of let the ideas up for the music narrate where the story goes if I want to incorporate a certain scene or whatever, so it's all the albums are all based on these big stories, so it all kind of ends up they're like self-contained stories each album is, but they're also all part of this big like bigger universe thing that's like that spans awesome. Like thousands of years and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So another question I actually have is that I didn't prep this one at all, but
that's okay.
Going off the rails.
I'm going off the rails. But like, okay, so with that being said, like all of your videos and stuff are awesome as well. Have you ever thought about just making like a video for each song on your album that is just one like basically big movie?
That was like the big dream would be something like that, and it's also like the scope of the stories are always like so outlandish that it's like someone's going to loan us $200 million to make a Hollywood movie, or like because like that's like
CGI is going to be outrageous.
Yeah, but like for real, like this last album is like it's like a post-apocalyptic infection story with like a like ghost skeleton cowboy and like a Frankenstein monster and like all these kinds of things like that. They're like we can't afford that in a music video.
But that could be so. But like. Just watched one of your last videos. I can't think of which song it is. The one where you're dressed as like the Grim Reaper.
Yeah. Yep. That's probably for Skeleton Man.
Yep. That's what it is. Skeleton Man.
Yep.
So like you could do something really cool and indie kind of vibe with it. Like
right. Yeah. That one was kind of a happy cross section of like plausibility for that video happening with it also making sense in the story. But yeah, I mean, any chance we get a opportunity to like portray the story, we'll take it. But you know, our last album before this was all about like sentient forest animals, like in this like forest kingdom with like a wicked fox king and all that kind of stuff. Cool. So it's like, what are we gonna do? Like call up Disney and make an animated movie? Like, yeah. So I don't know.
I mean, like, if anybody out there knows a guy, like, just hey, you can find us at Unsigned Pop Punk, and we'll relay the message.
Yeah. I've reached out to anime. Oh, I was just gonna say I've reached out to animation artists before to be like, hey, let's make a music video. And every time they're like, it'll take 5 years. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it'll take a long time. And that's another thing too, is like you want to make sure you're supporting local. Yep. You want to like, you know, hire a friend, and it's like that's a big workload to put on somebody.
Right.
Like, holy cow.
But if it ever happens, I'm there.
Just a quick heads up. My phone just notified me that I'm at 20% battery, and I only have one port to put my headphones in. So that might be a problem. But just if I cut out, that's what's happening. So
if you cut out, we'll finish the podcast with me and Pat, and it'll be terrible. So have you ever had a moment where, like, you know, a fan will be like, oh man, I love your band so much, you sound like this band, and then you look at them and you're like, I don't see that whatsoever. Like, I don't so don't take this the wrong way whatsoever. But have you ever heard of the band or the artist or the band? I don't know, Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats?
I have heard of them. I'm not familiar with them, unfortunately. But we have been told before that they're one to look out for.
Yeah. Okay. So, like, it's always weird whenever I compare a band's sound, but again, everybody does it. Everybody compartmentalizes things. It's like you put this in there, in that box, in that box, in that box, in another box, and then you mail it to yourself. And when it arrives,
smash it with a hand.
So, thank you. Oh my God, that makes me so happy. Or to save on postage. Well, that said, like, when I was listening to your music, I got crazy. Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats vibes in the way that it sounds Southern rock with like Western influences. And the only reason I say like Western influences is because you have like that minor tone in a lot of your songs, as well as those like Western twangs, which
which is dope as shit.
It's awesome as all fuck. I honestly, I love it. Awesome. So, like, how would you describe your music style? Because I don't know if I can do it justice by just saying it's Southern rock.
Yeah.
Like, how would you describe that? And then on top of that, who are some of your musical inspirations?
Yeah. So, you know, our kind of go-to, like our, you know, tagline or whatever is we call it cinematic alt rock. That's just kind of our blanket term for it. But I've also heard Gothic Americana is a good one. And then for a while we were calling it cult rock because we thought that was a funny little pun. But
cult rock, sure. I mean, like, hey, there's an audience there for it, like, for sure.
But yeah, you know, I'm honestly not like a big fan of Western like there's two kinds of Western. There's like country Western, right?
Yeah.
And then there's like spaghetti Western, which is like that's the thing we're going for.
That's that Mandalorian shit.
Exactly. And that's like where we're trying to hit that like cinematic note and still make, you know, good hooks and good choruses and stuff like that. But always kind of with that like, you know, badass like Clint Eastwood kind of like undertone to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, did you? Oh crap! There's a song on the new A Day to Remember album. I think it's not High Dive, and I can't remember. Looks Like Hell, I think is what it's called. It has that like country western, like spaghetti western vibe to it, and it's kind of like coming back a little bit for some reason. I don't know where it went. Coming back is the only way I know how to phrase it.
Right.
But like, I freaking dig it, and seeing that it's making these like these waves in alt rock is awesome, and I think it's opening up a lot of listeners to a lot of different kind of genres of music while still being safe underneath the alt rock category. You know?
Yeah, definitely. I think I think there's a lot of really great content out there right now with like in like the like alt country scene or whatever.
Yeah.
Is like there's cool stuff in there, and then that bleeding in with like, you know, the heavier scene and stuff. But my number one influence is a band called Murder by Death. They're like my biggest influence. That you listen to them and you're like, oh yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, but they were like, you know, growing really rapidly in like, you know, 2008, 2010 era. And they had this great kind of cross section of like the twangy, you know, spaghetti Western style stuff. But then they collaborated with like My Chemical Romance, and it was like, so it's like they could kind of balance this scene of like the alternative scene with a little bit of this like other influence, kind of the country side of things, but it's still like, you know, aggressive, and they have some screams in there, and it's like gnarly, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was
I'm
awesome.
gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, they're great. Murder by Death. They're like have always been my favorite band, like since I was a teenager. But we actually in I think 18 we got to open for them in Minneapolis, and it was
that's so
like,
cool.
Yeah, that was like my
congratulations,
number one,
man.
Yeah, that was my number one like bucket list thing of like the one thing I want to do with this band.
Well, I hate to say it, then Austin, you've officially peaked.
I know, really. Honestly, yeah.
That's it.
It's true.
You're done. You're done. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, so since your phone's at like probably 18% right now, we're gonna speed through this last question.
No,
and I'm gonna meld
we're
them
building
into
tension for the listeners.
Well, we have a couple other segments
dramatic.
still, so
yeah. So we want to make sure that we get through this because you're an amazing guest, and we I don't know, I've been vibing with you like fuck. So
All right, so
vibing with you.
vibing with you, man. What is some advice that you wish you'd have been told when you were first starting out with music? And then on top of that, what is some advice you would like to give our listeners who are trying to, quote unquote, make it in the music industry?
Yeah, you know, I would say, first off, think about your band name more before you print it on vinyl.
Letters cost extra, everybody.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say, you know, I think we were really focused on touring first, kind of like touring first, and we'll make fans as we go. And it's like you kind of need to make the fans first, and then the tour is like the last step. The tour is like you grow your fan base, and then the tour is like harvesting your fan base. Like you grow them from a distance with the internet, and then you go out.
I was gonna say that's a relatively modern way to look at it, and it's kind of the only way that's not the only. I shouldn't say the only. It's kind of one of the biggest ways that it's starting to work now. It used to be the other way around. It used to be the tours and the fans. But that was the time before Google. That was the time before, you know, Facebook and Twitter and all these things where people just kind of sit at home on their phones all day.
Yep.
Now it's reach them where they're at, which is on their phones, and then go hit them up with a tour later once you've already got them hooked through your funnel. Right. So, yeah, and that's a relatively newer way of looking at the music industry and the routes to which you should take to get a fan.
I mean, even within the past like 5 years. Like
absolutely. And then I know we've talked about this a lot, but even like the rise of TikTok and how that's working out, and literally somebody's first show on TikTok was playing Lollapalooza. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a weird backwards way of thinking, looking at it, but it's something you should definitely look at and pursue.
Right. I always feel like it's like the shows. I think the shows used to be that the show is the work that you're putting in to achieve your goal, and now the shows are like that's the reward of the work you put in. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be back with our next segment. So stick around. Hey everyone, you guessed it. It's Bear again.
And I'm his friend Pat.
His good friend Pat.
His good friend Pat. And we are from Unsigned Pop Punk. And we did a fun thing here. We just released the Summer Jams 21 mixtape.
And it's on cassette. So if you guys are into retro, this is going to be an awesome, awesome throwback.
So we've got some of your favorite bands that have been a part of Unsigned Pop Punk, including Royals, Penny Board, Cities Never Sleep, Of Brighter Skies, Aim High, Cleveland Avenue, Goalkeeper, Cheer Up Dusty, and many more.
Where can we find that, Pat?
You can find that right now at unsignedpoppunk.com.
There it is, unsignedpoppunk.com. Thank you guys so much for listening.
That's pretty good.
That was pretty good.
That's a good clap.
Did you feel it?
Felt it in my bones.
Nice. Welcome back. So now we're going to hop into our next segment, obscure questions. We're going to get a little, these ones get a little bit weird, I guess. So before I was telling you, we're going to have fun. We'd had fun before, but now we're going to ask weird things because now is the time for weird.
All right.
The weird things.
Weird things like, do you like the smell of your own socks?
Whoa.
No, don't ask.
No.
No.
Easy. Next question.
Do you find the smell of gasoline appealing? Because kind of.
You know,
Okay.
fun
We
fact,
talk about this.
I have a fun story about the smell of gasoline.
Let's hear it.
Yes, we're talking about it. Let's go.
We're going for it. I lost my sense of smell for 10 years from
Damn
like
it, COVID. Oh, okay.
from a head injury as a kid, right?
Oh, damn.
Lost my sense of smell. I was like, whatever. I like and then the first thing I smelled was gasoline, and because later it came back.
What?
Gasoline
Yeah.
brought it back, man.
Exactly. Guys started with gasoline, then it was peanut butter, and then like one thing at a time. And now I don't have like a good sense of smell, but I have.
So now you're sitting here like, I
things.
would love a gasoline peanut butter sandwich.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's so nostalgic.
Nostalgic. Yeah. Filling up my car like, smells like peanut butter.
Could go for a sandwich.
Just
right
like
now.
completely like flip flop, like how it corresponds in your brain,
Right.
like which one you want.
You smell things wrong.
So maybe you do like the smell of your own socks.
Right.
You just don't know.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Just haven't tried it. No.
All right, let's get into the real questions here.
So real first question we have. So how do you feel about UFOs and cryptozoology? And who do you think would win in a fight, Sasquatch or the Mothman?
This is a lot. You unloaded a lot on me. Okay,
I sure
all right. First off, what's cryptozoology?
Okay. Thank God I'm not the only one. Okay. At least I genuinely thought, like, I was like, oh, Austin seems pretty smart. Like, he's gonna get this, and I'm like, there's no way. Like, I'm the stupid one in here. And then I feel so much better.
I was
Okay,
like,
I'm not alone.
It's all good.
Crypto, I get that, but
Cryptozoology is like
The study of animal.
No, it's the study of like Sasquatch, Mothman, Loch Ness Monster, the New Jersey Devil.
Gotcha. Okay.
All of
I
those
was thinking
kind of like those like mythical
Yeah,
like legend.
Yeah,
I was
Because
literally.
like I was thinking, I was going like Dogecoin
Yeah.
animal studies.
No.
Like-
It's like I believe don't quote me, but it's like hidden animals is basically the kind of the
Gotcha.
term for it because
like lore and myth around
'cause
like
we
different
can't,
beasts
we
and
can't
stuff.
prove it. We have no actual proof of them.
So imagine this with me. My brain interpreted that. I was like, okay, cryptocurrency. That's that's similar to like NFTs, right? Where it's like an encoded one of a kind thing. And then you said zoology, and I was like, okay, so it's like a Tamagotchi, but like a like one of a kind Tamagotchi pet. All right, that's cryptozoology. Got
I
it.
like it.
Honestly, like I was in the same vein. Like,
Okay.
zoo. That animals are at the zoo.
I forgot the other questions.
Who do you think would win in a fight, Sasquatch or the Mothman?
Okay, now Mothman. When you say Mothman, I think of Mothra, and that's not fair. But I don't really know what the dimensions of Mothman are.
Okay,
Like, is he just is he a human-sized moth, or is he a human with moth?
So he is a
attributes?
humanoid with giant wings that looks like a moth man.
Because here's the thing: I don't think of moths as being particularly strong or vicious, whereas Sasquatch.
Right. I mean, like you throw on a
mean-
flashlight, the moth is gone. You know.
Yeah,
Like, he's just-
Sasquatch is
he's like,
like
here, boy.
yeah.
See,
My mind's
he
on
is-
Sasquatch, or honestly, my mind is on a draw because the Mothman would just fly out of there, and then
Right,
what
that's
can you
the
do?
thing. He can fly, and he's from West Virginia, so like
Yeah. Mountain Mama.
That's scary right there. That gets you.
I mean, yeah, just the West Virginia part in and of itself would freak me the hell out.
So if you don't like it, I mean, Austin, you being like a big story and comic book type of dude, you really should really dive into some cryptozoology, man. It's
Okay.
It is wild territory.
I know the basics. I know the basic creatures they talk about. I heard about this town in, I think, Minnesota. That's like their whole thing is all about Sasquatches.
Yep.
It's like they have like a whole Sasquatch like town. I don't know, like stores and stuff.
Yes, it's
Very articulate.
Sounds
Truly.
like fun. Honestly, I would love to go.
All right, hell yeah. All right, in
to-
a life or death situation, who in the band could hold their breath underwater the longest?
Probably me. Well, no, actually, Johnny Bones is our trombone player. He's got
you beat by a mile.
for sure. He's got me beat.
That lung capacity, dude.
Yeah.
Like you think you're something as a vocalist? No. Trombone players, dude.
Exactly.
Brass section got you beat.
The moment I said it, I was like, no, I wouldn't. No way.
Also, can we just take a moment and appreciate the fact that they have a trombone player in there?
Oh, it's so good. It's so good, and it sounds great.
He's our secret weapon. You want something to sound epic? You throw a Hans Zimmer horn behind it, and
Oh, Lord.
that's all you need.
I'd say your secret's out, but since there's only like my mom listening to this podcast, you're good.
Don't let her know.
Also, Austin, just so you know, Reamer, Minnesota. That's where
Okay.
it is.
Sweet.
Yep.
Reamer.
Yep. I've been there. I
Okay.
went to the Sasquatch
Reamer,
Museum.
barely knew her.
Ah,
That'll get cut probably.
that'll sell right there.
I do mark these episodes as explicit, so I hope nobody's getting like a weird idea.
So
Yeah, what's going on with you and the Sasquatch? Jeez.
out in the Reamer. I hope it's Reamer, Remer. It's Remer. So
All right.
you only have a couple options.
That's true.
If you could go viral for anything, what would it be?
Well, honestly, I would hope that it would just be like something intentional and good and cool that I did, but that's not really how it works.
Yeah.
That's
for
not
sure.
how
So what do you
viral
think?
works.
What do you think it would be? Like, there's
Right.
two very different things. Like what you would want it to be and what it probably would be.
Right. I recently I posted a number of TikToks and like
Right.
Instagram Reels and all that kind of stuff. They always get like not that good of views. But I posted this video of that like filter on TikTok where it like zooms in the camera at like random points and you try and like,
Yeah, the
get
cat
it with
one?
your face. Yep. And I did that with my cat
Yep.
and that got more views than anything I've ever posted.
Yeah,
Like, ever.
I've watched it twice. Just so
I just literally now just followed you.
So
on
that's
TikTok.
probably the one that's probably the kind of thing that would go.
you're
that would
like
go well.
you just, and that's the way it works too. You'll sit there and you'll be like, I'm gonna sing my songs. Everyone's gonna like my songs. Nobody gives a shit about your songs, but putting your cat out there. Oh,
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
in an automatic crop filter. Let's go.
Yeah, the other thing that I did that went like a little bit viral was I made in the movie Nacho Libre that he has that he like sings this
my best
song, the Encarnacion song.
Encarnacion.
Exactly. So I made like
Encarnacion.
I made a musical accompaniment to that. I like made a song out of it. Gave it a beat. I gave it like chords. I like tuned the vocals and everything. And I made a TikTok of that, and it got pretty good views and got some
I
likes.
just got real happy.
I haven't
Yeah,
seen
man.
it, but after
I'm gonna
this,
watch. I
will
can't
be
wait to watch.
watching
I
it.
literally just followed you on TikTok. I cannot
Yeah.
wait to watch this video.
Yeah.
Nacho Libre is my life.
I did one that was just the scene, and then I followed it up. I ended up like making the full song, but people didn't care as much about the full song. But
Yeah, right. Like as soon as they post it, I need this on Spotify now, and then like when you do, like even if it's 2 weeks later, like oh,
Right.
shit.
You're
I
like,
think it is on SoundCloud actually.
Oh, see, that's your problem. No,
That is the problem.
you don't have enough
well,
face
you know.
tattoos for that.
No, I don't. No,
We can change that.
It might be banned.
could.
Actually, I don't remember where it is.
We could.
True.
All
I
right.
always get
Well,
face
that's a great
tattoos.
way to segue into our next segment.
Segment.
I don't know why I did it like that, but like you know what? It's there. It's there.
I
for
assume
the
that's how
whole
you
year.
always do it, but
No, I've
We
never done it
don't.
that way.
No.
It's more so super timid, next question.
We're gonna do this. Yeah, we're very
get that
timid.
NPR
Maybe
voice.
we should. Maybe I'll throw a bunch of distortion, our next segment. You know?
Get a sound in there.
Just get some blast beats That'd be funny, actually.
It would work for this though, because our next segment, rapid fire questions. Okay,
Oh,
so
gosh.
we're gonna you get 2 options each one. I guess you can create your own option outside of those options.
Okay.
I don't recommend it for yourself though. But here's the thing: you're shooting from the hip. Take it right in the heart.
Okay.
No thoughts. You
I'm
ready?
Yep.
Okay. Pizza or tacos?
Pizza.
Saved by the Bell or Boy Meets World?
I have not watched either.
More wrong.
Wrong. Demerit.
Shit. Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter?
Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
Yep.
Dogs or cats?
Cats.
What?
Cats.
Okay.
Oh, am I cutting out?
Cats. You
It's just the Zoom.
it's a
okay.
Zoom. We're good.
It's probably fine on the audio. I'll just
Okay, cool.
it'll be fine. We'll be fine.
but you said cats, right? Dog or
Cats.
cat?
I'm a cat man. I got a bunch of cats.
Cat man.
Cat man.
Pudding or Jello?
Pudding. No contest.
All right. Are you a day or night person?
Honestly, I'm a straight up morning person.
Okay.
Yep.
Cut
Fair
from
enough.
a different cloth, my friend.
Fall Out Boy or My Chemical Romance?
My Chemical Romance, no doubt.
Oh yeah, there's no way in my head where it goes Fall Out Boy, especially listening to your music. And
Yeah.
just listening to you, I want to create a comic book. It's
Yeah.
no, that's got Gerard Way waiting.
Exactly.
Well,
all
I'm
over
just waiting for whoever says Fall Out Boy so we can fist fight. But no. I mean, you can have your own opinions.
Hey,
even
Fall
if
Out
they're
Boy's
wrong.
great, but yeah.
Yeah,
No.
they
Fall
are.
Out Boy. Yeah, I mean, I'm more inclined to early Fall Out Boy, but that's just my taste, and I'm getting old. So.
No, I agree. I was obsessed with Fall Out Boy until about 10 years ago.
Dude, I got into Fall Out Boys. I got into them from their record. I think it's Thriller. No, they're fuck. What
The
record?
Thriller
is it?
in the Manila?
Oh man, I don't remember. It's the blue album with the sheep and the bedtime.
Yeah.
I cannot remember for the life of me the name of the album.
I could
but the
see it.
opening song is
Infinity on
Thriller.
High.
Infinity on High. Thank you. Oh my God, I'm about to get so much clapback from this from my mom because she's the only one that listens to this podcast.
She's a big Fall Out Boy fan.
She's a big
You don't remember Infinity on High? I thought I raised you
Hallelujah.
right. Exactly. No, but I got into them because I listened to Thriller. The intro track to and it's Jay-Z. He's just I'm just is this Jay-Z?
FOB.
Yeah.
Chill.
Is he up? And then it goes straight into and I'm like, this is fucking dope.
Can I just say, in your thing, for a second, you said Fall Out Boys, and I thought that's such a funny that'd be a great parody band, the Fall Out Boys,
or the Fell Out Boys.
yeah, almost that, but
So close.
just add an S, the whole thing changes.
The Fell Out Gents. I was a big Take This to Your Grave kid myself.
Yeah, I was a big. I think it's how you pronounce it, but I've never Googled it. But Folia Do.
Yep, Folly Do.
Yeah,
That's a good one too.
my favorite song on that album is "What a Catch." Dude. It's just I'm a sucker for slow jams. And it's so good. And then at the end of the song, it's got a culmination from their discography. You got Thanks for the Memories on there. They all just sing it.
Yeah.
And I'm just
it's a good one.
This is beautiful. And I got into it when I was doing my music video phase, where all I would do is go on YouTube for hours and hours every night, just suggested music videos from different bands, and
Yep, same.
that came up, and I'm like, this is incredible. And it's him with the bird playing the piano on the boat in the middle of the ocean, and by the end of the music video, he's got a whole group of people that like they rescued and saved. I'm like, this is awesome, and that's how I got into Fall Out Boy.
All
everybody.
right. I love like callback stuff, like self-referential stuff.
Yeah.
When you have like recurring themes. We have a couple of those in our albums. Like in our last album, Skeleton Man, there's we have these character motifs, and every time a character is like in the scene, you'll hear this like certain melody that's like a part of it, and then at the end, all like the different melodies all kind of come together and make this bigger like moment, and I love that stuff.
That's so cool. Yeah, it's just there's some sort of like poetic. I don't even know what to call it. It's just so poetic. Like, because it feels right. Like when I remember like when I was doing like my English class, and my teacher was like, it's called a pang. Whenever like you mention something in the beginning of the story, and at the end of the story you do like a callback to it. It pings back to what that original place was, and it makes you feel like you've come full circle. And it leaves this like feeling of resolve in your body, and it's incredible.
Yep.
And I'm a sucker for it.
Yep. It's set up and the payoff. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yep. Yeah. All right, dude. Austin Durry, thank you so much for just coming on this podcast. We've had an absolute blast as we're coming to a close here. With all of this said and all of your insight, like we can't thank you enough for being here.
Yeah. Fun.
Go ahead and plug your band, plug your brand, plug where we can find you, what kind of social media you're on, what's next for you guys, like what's your big goals, and then we'll call this an episode.
Sounds good. So you can check out my band Coyote Kid for dark, spooky, cinematic rock stuff. And we're on all the social media. It's usually just Coyote Kid Official, because we're official and couldn't get the tagline of just Coyote Kid.
They are egomanic. Oh crap! What was that? What was that thing we said?
Emo maniac.
Emo maniac.
Emu mania.
Except I'm pretty sure that's in the portion that was cut.
This is a disaster.
Anyway, check all that out.
Callback.
We've got we have a new song that just came out called Good Intentions. It's really like groovy and fun.
It's fantastic.
And then we're always playing shows, always around, trying to tour as much as we can. And we're also we are actually, I guess I'm not really sure when this is going to air, but we're in this like contest thing to like, we're like collecting votes for this online contest. Whoever gets the most votes gets to go play this huge show in like Hollywood or whatever. And we're currently in second place.
Damn.
Oh wow.
And the first round ends tonight, like cuts to top 15. Tonight being not when you're listening to this, but
right.
So assuming we don't fall, 13 places, I think we'll make it through to the next round, and then we'll be looking for more votes. So you can check that out on all of our social media and stuff. We'll be posting about it, and if you want to vote for us, that'd be super cool. You can vote once every day, that's kind of the current thing we're pushing.
That's
right
awesome,
now.
dude.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's awesome.
And with that
Good
said,
luck.
even if you guys are hearing this after this has happened, still follow them on the social medias.
Yep.
Like, do your due diligence. Like, you guys know what to do. You guys know what to do by now. So make sure you guys are following Coyote Kid.
I always say link in the bio, and it feels so stupid. Like link in the bio. Like, they know
A
where
link
to
in the
go.
bio.
They know where the bio is.
Link in the bio.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Austin, thank you so much for being here. We're going to have like thunderous applause somewhere around here to make sure that you are out and good to go.
I'll imagine.
With that said, everybody, this has been another episode of Where Did All My Friends Go? A podcast about life in the music industry. Pat, I can't wait to do this again with you.
I'll see you tomorrow, buddy.
Oh, yeah.